Thank you, Mr. President, and I give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Giampiero Masolo. I want to thank you, Mr. Mario Monti, for inviting me. Just before I start, I want to thank you for our students. For really finding the opportunities, finding a program. For helping Ukrainians. Helping people who have been temporarily displaced. To our students, this is our future. We do not want to lose it, and therefore we really want them to receive your warmth, knowledge, experience, so that they can return to our homeland. Thank you again for taking care of our future, our students. Now I would like to address all the participants of the forum. Dear friends, I am grateful for this opportunity to speak to you today. Everything needs to be done today. And it so happened that today is the International Refugee Day. Unfortunately, since recently this day has been especially painful for all of us, for millions of Ukrainians. More precisely, for more than 12 million of our citizens. 12 million, just imagine. Those who had their own homes earlier this year. Complete security. Own plans for the future. And all this was destroyed. Destroyed by Russian invasion. More than 12 million Ukrainians have become migrants. They left their cities and communities. They sought refuge in a safe area where at least Russian artillery is out of reach. More than 5 million Ukrainians out of these 12 have left our country. Found a shelter in other countries, including here in Italy. I want to thank once again all your people, your cities, your government, the Prime Minister, Mr. Draghi, for helping our people. First of all to our women and children. For children. It is very important. But what is our goal now? This is what I want to speak about today. We must do everything to ensure that Ukrainian migrants return home. No matter how many there are and wherever they seek protection. We must provide them with a real opportunity and internal motivation to return to Ukraine. We can set a historical precedent. Earlier, when an aggressor went to war against another state, it hoped that the war would break its victims. And now we have proved that Ukraine cannot be broken. But this is not enough. That's why it's a key element, an opportunity for people to return home. Due to the Russian war against Ukraine, Europe is experiencing the biggest migration crisis in decades. When was it like this before? That in just a few months, 12 million people lost their homes at once. And security, I can only recall the Second World War. Russia has deliberately created such conditions. Mariupol, almost 500,000 inhabitants. Various cities. Severodonetsk, 100,000 inhabitants. Volnovakha has 22,000 inhabitants. So it was. But Russia destroyed everything there. Artillery, aircraft, missiles. They were not picky when choosing arms. I can name hundreds more cities that have already been destroyed. And I can name dozens of other cities that are still threatened by Russian strikes. Now Russian army is trying to gather strength to attack Kharkiv again. We have deoccupied it, this region, and they want it again. And we see it. There are 1.5 million inhabitants. Mykolaiv is constantly being bombed. And there are almost 500,000 inhabitants there. They want to capture and completely destroy Sloviansk. Before the war there were 100,000 inhabitants. Of course, we will do everything possible to stop the occupiers, to protect the people. But to do it faster we need support. Modern weapons. Weapons that have greater potential than the Russian army. That's why I spend so much emotions, so much time, so much effort. All to convince all our partners to give us powerful weapons. It's a matter of lives. The second point is the economy. And as long as the war continues, as long as Russian missiles continue hitting our cities, normal economic life is simply impossible. Up to a half of our entire economy, up to half of our economic system is not working right now. Imagine what it would be like if half of Italy's economy were completely blocked. Its industrial part, and also all your ports. No state can survive such a situation without financial assistance. And when we say that Ukraine needs about $5 billion a month to cover the budget deficit, it's not just a figure. It's not about money, it is about how many millions of Ukrainians will still have something to live on. Something to live on in Ukraine. The third point is reconstruction. We must do absolutely everything to ensure that after our victory, and I have no doubt about it, we could not just restore normal living conditions where the Russian occupiers tried to leave only charred debris, but to build a life so modern, so safe, that it would be a blow to the aggressor. That is, not only sanctions, not only the physical damages done to the Russian army on the battlefield, but also the very fact of restoring life in Ukraine. Life itself is a priority. The very fact that we can rise from the ashes, and the aggressor state will remain only with losses and degradation. Our goal is to make this migration crisis in Europe, caused by the Russian war, definitely and only, to become last such crisis, so that no other aggressor would even think that with the help of war they will be able to destroy the life of any European country. Weapons for Ukraine, financial support, future reconstruction of our state. Three elements that should work to the fullest, but that's not all we have to do. The Russian war against us has provoked a global food crisis. If it is not stopped immediately, our 12 million displaced people will simply be a drop in the ocean of possible new migration flows. Just before meeting you, I addressed the representatives of the African Union and emphasized this: food security. Ukraine can supply so much food to the world market that it can meet the critical needs of dozens of countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Without our exports, there is a deficit that can lead to chaos. Political chaos, economic chaos, migration chaos. And only this year we can do everything so that on the next International Refugee Day we would not have to discuss how to deal with tens of millions of migrants, both in Europe and in the regions bordering Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, now is a special moment. A moment when the fate of millions of people depends on the decisions of European and world politicians. The moment when it is decided whether peace will come soon in Ukraine. Whether we will soon be able to say that we are already solving the problems I talked about today. I beg you to be active. I am grateful to Italy for its principal position. But we need to do even more to make Ukraine win. I repeat, weapons for Ukraine, financial support, and reconstruction of our state. Three elements that can change everything. Everything. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine.
If possible, 2 questions, mind me asking. And the first question will come from a student of Bakoni, Denisa Mohammadi. Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Доброго дня, пане президенте.
My name is Denisa
Мене звати
Mohammadi.
Дениса Мометі. Я
I
світовий
am a world
посол
ambassador for T20.
G20. Процес вступу в ЄС, як
The
правило,
process of joining the EU usually takes
займає
years.
роки.
What are
Які
your
ваші
expectations
очікування
from the
від
EU?
ЄС? І які
And what
саме кроки
exactly will
повинна
Ukraine
Україна
need to do to
зробити
walk
для того,
this
щоб пройти
path?
цей шлях?
which is from Stefania Battistini.
Стефанія Беттестіні,
Stefania Batistini,
журналіст
journalist of one of
Один, це
TG1,
один з
the largest
найбільших
TV channels in our country.
нашої країни. Пані
Mrs.
Беттестіні, вам
Batistini,
слово.
I give you my
Пане
word.
президенте,
Mr. President, I was in
я
Ukraine
була
10 days
10
before
днів
the
на початку
war.
війни в Україні.
Please tell us, what role
Скажіть,
can
будь
Italy
ласка,
and the
яку роль
European
може
Union play
Італія
in the
і
peace
Європейський Союз,
negotiations?
відіграти у мирних переговорах?
First of all, as far as the European Union is concerned, every person in our country, every Ukrainian, just like in principle, every person, has motivation as a main driving force. What motivates Ukrainians today? Ending the war. I talked about it. We want to be on our land. We do not need anything extra, we need only our own. And this is what we defend. We are very motivated people. One of the motivations, apart from our independence, for our home and family, is the values you mentioned just now, Mr. Monti, absolutely correct. We defend values common with Europeans. And this is the second motivation. And third, we want to show everyone that Ukraine is not afraid of even the world's second largest army. We show the example of an independent state and the example of the fight of independent people. Here are three motivations. So there is nothing to say about the first and third. You see it every day in our rebuff to the Russian army. As for motivating to be Europeans and protect these values, yes, this is true. For us, going towards the European Union is a unifying factor. And maybe this week we get candidate status. This would only strengthen our power. You know, the European Union, what it needs to do for us, nothing. It should consider Ukraine as an equal state. And everything it does for the member states of the European Union should do for Ukraine. And since we are the outpost today, protecting these enlightened values, we probably need to have a little more done for us than for all other states. Because it's harder for us now. But nevertheless, I want to thank the countries of the European Union who are fighting Russia with sanctions, who are fighting politically. And, that is very important, who fight by supporting our army with weapons. As for what you said earlier, that the Senate will consider a very important issue tomorrow regarding support of our army. I'd like to say, Italy, you do not support the offensive of the Ukrainian army. You support the defense capabilities of our state. Wherever we go, this is our land. We just want to drive the Russian army out of our independent land. We do not cross borders. We do not kill civilians, citizens of the Russian Federation, despite their position on this war. We are an adequate people who strive for their independence. Therefore, I beg you to continue to support us. Regarding the second question, what role does Italy play in this? Regarding the security of our state, we all see, and I see this personally. We see Italy among the security guarantor countries in the near future, because Ukraine needs it. We see Italy among these friends. We trust Italy, we respect Italian culture, history, power and principles. We support the Italian government today. We support their help and are grateful for it. Mrs. Journalist said that she was in Ukraine 10 days before the war and she asked what else can be done. You know, sometimes it's very important to tell the truth. And to tell the truth about what is happening in Ukraine, it is important sometimes to find time and be present. That's why I invite you. In such moments, in moments of war, people need to be told what's going on. Because war, first of all, is far from your states. And in order to know what is happening in the war and what Ukraine is fighting for, you have to be in Ukraine sometimes. So if you want to help us with your weapon, and a journalist's word is the main weapon, come, see. Look at us and tell your wonderful people about it. Thank you.